Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Hockey Podcast. We are live on Facebook as well, facebook.com, the Hockey Podcast, youtube.com, the Hockey Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter at podcast_hockey. Subscribe on YouTube as well, where we are currently sitting at a number of subscribers. You just got to get the jersey number here. But hey, anyway, Twitter, Facebook, and you can subscribe to wherever you get your podcast. Bit of a colder opening today. It's a bit of a rough time in the Canucks community and in the hockey community. We'll get to that in a little bit. Joined by Devin. Hello, Devin. How are you?
Hey, Kev. Doing pretty good considering. It's been a hell of 3 days, I guess, getting all this information. So it's a bit of a downer, but we'll try and keep people's spirits up with this podcast.
Yes, and our guest today, I think, can help us with that. He has over 20 years. Lucas Gates has seen amazing growth in the neurodiverse community. Growing up during a pivotal point of change allows Lewis to talk with the community and allows our community to become a safe place, an inclusive place for all. He was recently on with Canucks Clay. It's Autism Awareness Month. Unfortunately, because of a postponement of a game, didn't have a chance to do Autism Awareness Day with the Canucks, but that's okay. We're going to get some information out today. That's our goal. Lucas Gates, welcome to the Hockey Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Kevin and Devin. I just want to send a little message to all our fans out there in Canucks land. I know the boys are they're resting up. Get well soon, boys. We'll want to see you back on the ice as soon as possible. And if it can't be done this season, so big deal. It's just the health is much more of a bigger issue right now, and be well, guys. Just be well.
Absolutely. I think we can all agree with that. Lucas, before we begin here, kind of tell us a little bit. There'll be probably some people who don't know who you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to.
So anyway, just for those who are not familiar with me, my name is Lucas Gates. I am an autism advocate. I'm involved with many autism resources across the Vancouver area. When it comes to my jobs at the Pacific Autism Family Network, I'm also affiliated with AID Canada, which is a national resource for autistic individuals and those with intellectual disabilities. I'm also affiliated with, I'm also a board member of Autism BC, and I'm affiliated with Canucks Autism Network. And I'm also just a kind of cool little thing. I also work for the boys in blue, so in retail. So yeah. Just not this season though, because of COVID.
Yeah, obviously. So how did you get involved with the Canucks? Kind of tell us kind of your story, your background. Just tell us how you got involved with the Canucks Autism Network, how you became an advocate that you did.
Oh, actually, funny story, Kevin. Actually, I think I explained this on Clay Emu's video interview, but so what happened was my family created a soccer team. I know it's a different sport and whatnot, but what happened was I have a sister with Down syndrome as well. So she was going to play on a regular girls soccer team, and no ifs, no buts. She had a great time. Mom was going to pay her pay the coach the $100, the registration fee, with all that with all the registration fees. And then the coach took my mom aside. Trust me, this is where CAN comes into play. Trust me, this is just a build-up. And then took her aside and told my sister would be a liability because she had a visible disability. As myself, I have an invisible one. I have an intellectual disability. So it was a massive story. Let's just put a media circus. Fast forward a couple months later, when we started our team, some representatives from the Aquilinis were coming by our field, and they wanted to get a grasp of what we do at our team. We're the Blazing Soccer Dogs, by the way. That's our team name. I could probably send you the info later.
Yeah, for sure. Please do. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. Anyway, so what happened was some representatives of the Aquilinis came by our field and said, we wanted to start something similar called Canucks Autism Network. And they were talking with them a little bit, and that's actually how CAN was started, because how we started our thing, and then they learned from us. And that's how we all kind of got to know each other. And it's kind of coincidental that I was involved with CAN well before I officially was affiliated with them. So it all comes full circle, huh?
Sure does. Where does so what are some of the things like you um where are you doing most of your advocacy work? Like what are you trying to educate people on? I know with autism, the subject of autism, I know that there's some controversy in terms of what works in terms of what the information that is given and what's not. So from your perspective, tell us a little bit about the advocacy work that you specifically work on.
So the advocacy work on, that's a really good question, Kevin, because that actually is something I've seen on a regular basis on social media, and it's not fun. But I do know that yeah, there's always going to be some controversy when it comes to the connotation, because of course it's going to be awareness versus acceptance, that whole connotation, because they think, oh, we should focus more on accepting people over spreading the awareness. In fact, just for your listeners to know, they don't consider it either autism awareness or acceptance anymore. They just call it World Autism Month, straight up.
Okay. Well, my apologies if I said that differently. My apologies.
Hey, Kevin, it is totally fine. We make mistakes. No one is perfect, and I understand people sometimes make a slip of the tongue, and it happens. No one's perfect. Yeah. But yeah, I try to be more of what's considered a neutral advocate. So I talk more like a middle ground kind of thing. So I talk like between before COVID hit, I had like a lot of speaking engagement with like schools and whatnot. So so between that and helping other individuals and helping people understand that we're a little bit different way of thinking it, but that's a good thing. Thinking a little bit differently isn't the end of the world.
No, absolutely no. I've been known to think differently myself for sure. So you work at the Canucks. You work at the store with the Canucks. You have a bunch of different uniforms. I'm just going to toss a side question out here. What is your favorite Canuck uniform? Is it the one you're wearing now? The one I have in the back? Which one?
Actually, believe it or not, I do know because I've worked last season when a lot of fans were like super hyped about the Flying Skate jersey. The Flying Skate jersey is where it's at. Again, I don't know what's happening with it, but I mean, all I can say is, yeah, we did hear you at Team Star. We did hear you.
Fair enough. Devin, did you have anything to ask?
What do you think of the new retro jerseys?
Are you talking regarding the reverse retros? The
reverse retros.
The 2001 style. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. It's a sort of remixed kind of the 01 West Coast Express era. That's a nice touch. I have to commend them. I have to commend Upstairs for that. That was a really nice touch. I mean, I have seen the Flames though one because, of course, obviously you're with the Calgary Flames. And I do admit the Blasted jerseys look awfully nice though. So again, I'm a guy who likes jersey aesthetics. So just take it from me. I saw all the reverse retros this year, and a lot of them do look really nice. So kudos to the rest of the league for trying to pull off something really unique this year.
Yeah, that's it's certainly fun. Looks a little different, I think, and kind of certainly gives a different field. What are some of the things that especially now you talked a little bit about not being able to work here in terms of and speaking engagements have been down a little bit. So how, in terms of social media, I know that you mentioned neutral, how are you getting your message of autism awareness out, and how are you feeling also that how the NHL is doing in terms of making that part of their awareness themselves?
That's a really good question, Kevin. I do honestly think that there's always room for growth. We're in a different era now that a lot more people are accepting people for who they are. Obviously, I've seen some other organizations around the NHL sort of picking it up. It's baby steps. You know what I mean? Everyone's learning and growing. It's not like it's going to happen like on a flick of a snap like this. So it obviously takes time, but I mean, the league is trying to grow and learn. Again, every team has their own differences. Every organization has their own touch and go, but yeah, everyone learns and grows and develops the different initiatives because it may be in-house, it may be for a different organization. Who knows?
You mentioned a little bit off air, you were working a little bit with the Winnipeg organization.
No. Actually, that was.
Sorry, man.
Hey, no worries, no worries. I'm just referencing I was referencing there was other organizations out there that actually do things like the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
Yeah, before COVID hit everybody like a brick. I do know they actually did a partnership with another organization out there. I'm trying to think of other ones. I do know Ottawa also did something, but again, it's everything right now is completely on pause, so I don't know exactly everything. All I know is about Rogers Arena and how we do it. That's all I know at this time.
Fair. And you're involved with some other teams in Vancouver as well. Tell us about them.
Oh, actually, so technically, because of my other job with the Pacific Autism Family Network, shout out to the gang over there. You guys are the best. With my other job, we actually had a partnership with the Vancouver Whitecaps and the BC Lions of this Canadian Football League. So we actually had some sort of sensory kind of things with them. Hopefully, when they start having fans again, and I was talking to one of my colleagues over at the Whitecaps. Hopefully they'll have fans back in the seats. Hopefully by the summer. And if the way that things are, if they get the things going out, who knows? Summer is looking awfully good right now. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think we need to. We need to, yeah, for sure. I think hopefully, I mean, I know that people are sort of not in that headspace right now, considering everything that is around, but I like the fact that you're still thinking positively. I totally respect that. I think we need more of that.
Yeah, that's exactly why I had to do that thing yesterday, because some of my fellow generational cohorts were not exactly behaving. So here in BC, especially, so I had to sort of get that message out. And fortunately, it looking like that message is getting across. So that's at least a good start.
Yeah. And I mean, congratulations as well. You got to 1,000 followers on Twitter. I think you need to give Devin some lessons, who's at a mere 43 right now. So,
hey, Devin, don't worry. I'll let you know one reason. I think also I have a lot of media contacts and a lot of people I know personally who are have a lot of are sort of like local personalities around here. I know personally, so that's probably helps a little bit as well.
That's fair.
Yeah, Devin. So you need to get connected, I think.
I really do.
Hey, I don't know who's out there in Calgary, unfortunately. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. If I get one more follower from you, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
How can we help and our listeners help spread the word of autism and what we need to know to help with that?
Just learn from other people's experiences. One voice is only just one voice. Everyone's opinions are valid. Everyone just respect everyone's opinions, because their opinion is just one voice in the whole community aspect. Again, like whenever I do speaking engagements or stuff, I say from my point of view. But again, every person's opinion is valid, but their voices are just one little tidbit, not for the representative of everything.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So how, tell us, like, do you have any speaking engagement stories that you're like, had a really good conversation with someone that changed an opinion or brought someone together, or?
Well, so I think this was earlier. I'm trying to remember because I'm trying to remember speaking engagements, because of course with COVID and everything, instead of everything went. So I'm trying to roll myself back. So of course in high school it was very difficult for me. I had some really rough goes. Unfortunately, high school was a big jump. Let's put it that way. But anyways, I was not exactly on good terms with my TA, my teacher assistant. So again, I'm not going to reveal their name just because I want to be respectful. But anyway, when I was doing a speaking engagement an engagement in Richmond, BC at a high school. So I was talking to all the TAs and I got really, really nervous because of course, with TAs, I didn't want to offend them. But of course I was, after they done, they all came up to me. This was before COVID, by the way. So just a little heads up. But yeah, I was talking to them saying, how can we improve better? I was talking to them. They were so nice. They wanted to learn. And that's the thing though, is maybe my experience 10 years ago, may be different than nowadays, because I'm 10 years removed from high school, so things could have changed. At least 10 years removed, over. Yeah.
Did you do any post-secondary?
Yes, actually, I did. I didn't graduate, but I did do a couple post-secondary, a little bit of web design, A little bit of just general information, but yeah. Speaking about post-secondary, obviously in the local news, obviously you probably heard that the Coquitlam Express actually hired Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' older brother as their interim head coach, if I'm not mistaken. Have you heard about
Yes,
that, Kevin?
I actually, yes, I do play-by-play. Well, not since COVID. I was doing play-by-play for the Greater Vancouver Canadians, so I know Adam, actually. So
yeah, actually, believe it or not, this is true. I totally didn't know this at the time. Complete ding-dong of me. But in my first year of post-secondary, I was in the same public speaking class as Adam Nugent-Hopkins. Like, I'm not kidding you. Because he was wearing his Red Deer Rebels hat, and I didn't quite click. It didn't quite click at the time. I didn't know his brother was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I was such a dummy. Yeah. He went first overall to the Oilers.
That's okay. It took me a few months on our chat to realize who ANH was. So I was like, who's ANH? And I'm like, oh. It took me a while to clue in for sure as well. But I'm curious, like you talked a little bit about from a high school perspective, some struggle. How do you feel from a post-secondary perspective that in terms of what was like, you don't have to get too personal, but like from your perspective, how was that in terms of the supports for you there?
Much better. Oh my goodness, Adam. It is much Kevin, sorry. My head's a little.
That's okay.
I'm a little warped right now. It's all good. But yeah, it was definitely much better because I find that in post-secondary, I think it's not like in high school, they're like, oh, we just want you to graduate and bye-bye, because it's public, it's not, I was in public, so it's a little different than private, but they're like, okay, Tom, you moved on, congratulations, bye-bye. In college, they actually want you to succeed, and they want to make sure you're achieving your best nowadays. And I have to commend post-secondary for that. They're trying their hardest, and you can definitely tell the atmosphere is like completely different than the public high schools, like 110%, much different ethic. And by the way, even when you're not 100%, you can't make it to class. Pardon me. They actually, a lot of them, like, you actually think yourself, oh no, I can't make it to class. It's like, oh shoot, what do I do? It's not like high school are like, oh, whoopee. It's like, oh, I get to miss school. Whoopee, like that kind of thing. It's a total different paradigm.
Yeah. It's sort of, in post-secondary, I find I find that if I'm missing a class, I really feel like I'm missing out. I didn't feel that way in high school. I took a lot of me time in high school. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
So, yeah. So, I guess let's just quickly touch. I mean, just from your perspective here, we won't touch too much. We won't talk about the current situation, but in terms of kind of how you felt the Canucks have played up to this point this year, what have kind of some of the things that you've been impressed with? How were you feeling up to this point about the way the Canucks were playing up to this point?
I was actually happy with some of our young guys. Like Hoglander definitely proved himself. I mean, with no preseason, I was very impressed with how Hoglander was showing himself. And I mean, because we usually, if it wasn't for the condensed schedule, if we had preseason, these guys have to get trained, get used to the pro game. If they don't work out, they either go back to junior or off to Utica. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I was very impressed with some of our guys this year. Again, it's been a very up and down year because, with the scheduling, it was basically with like baseball styling, they had like 1, 2, 3 in a row. So the scheduling was like really crunched. And also with our games being scheduled within the division only, that also caused a little bit of troubles because, with the point tally, you couldn't travel outside the division because of border issues. So that's also a big reason why I think this was also a very touch and go year. Again, whoever wins the cup this year, whoever wins it, good for them. But I'm going to put a huge asterisk on them because a lot of issues have come up with outbreaks.
Yeah, it's been a unique year. I mean, we touched wood for like the first half of the season. We were okay, and now certainly some bumps and bruises going on. So what do you got going on in kind of the rest of this time? What are you